Okay, I promised to do a behind the scenes video and it's been delayed quite a bit because every video I try and do it on, something ends up going wrong and it doesn't really make any sense. I'm starting again. Now this one today is going to be the video, I'm telling you this now because by the time this comes out, the video will already have come out if it works. It's a video about the Omni entertainment system. I haven't shot anything on the Omni yet. What I'm doing here is, I know at some point in the video I'm going to need an 8-track machine. Now I've got one linked up to the Hi-Fi, a good one. I've also got a portable as well. But this is the one that I fancy using in the video because I can just have it up here on the counter and kind of demonstrate something on it. The trouble is, it hasn't been working. It's got something wrong with the eject mechanism. So I'm starting off making this video at 9:30 in the morning on a Tuesday. And the first point I'm doing is trying to get the 8-track working, which is really going to be a very minor player in the video, just to go on screen for a few minutes or less than that probably. But I've got to get this working before I can start making the rest of the video. So I suppose I'm going back to the front here really. Maybe I should be doing the Omni first. One thing I'll mention about the Omni, I bought it 6 months ago or so. I've never plugged it in, I've never tested it. If it doesn't work, this is going to be another one of those videos where I'm going to have to start on something else and maybe I'll film that instead if that happens. Anyway, you might notice I've got my a new monitor on a arm here, which means I can swing it out of the way, at least that's the plan. Although I haven't actually tried it yet, I only put the arm on it yesterday. It should sort of go over there somewhere, but I think it's supposed to bend in the middle. Anyway, I'll figure it out. But the idea is I can get the arm out of the way, and hopefully I don't scratch it on that, and just use this space for editing, but I'll just keep it at the back for the moment because I think it's a bit neater. Right, I'm a little bit tired at the moment, so I'm not making an awful lot of sense, so I'll just get on with this. Now, usually while I'm doing stuff like this, I'll play a podcast in the background just to give me something to take my mind out of the moment a little bit. So I've got This Week in Tech on here, so I'll just be playing that, and I'll be trying to get my 8-track working. And I'll be drinking a bit of coffee, trying to bring myself around. So anyway, see you in a minute.
Even though that is like
10th anniversary event. For old time's sake, what do you say, Mike? Let's go. Let's call him up. Let's say, come on, come on.
That didn't take long. It just mechanism had just got stuck. It's got a really weird eject mechanism on this, an automated eject. Now most 8-tracks you just pull them out and shove them in. With this one, once you push it in, there's a mechanism, locks the 8-track in place, it kind of grabs onto it electronically, there's an arm comes in. And now you can see it's, well, you probably can't see it's working. And I've got my select button here, I can move between the 4 tracks. Now when you press eject on this one, it sort of physically ejects it with a spring-loaded mechanism, and that's what wasn't working. Anyway, so I've got my 8-track working now. Let's get on to the Omni. So I just need to rearrange this worktop so I can get it on here. It's quite a large item. Right, okay, so I've got the Omni system out now, and I'm going to be filming this as I mess around with it because I'm a little bit concerned that if it hasn't been used for years, as soon as I start using it, it's just going to fail on me. That's if it works at all, and if all smoke comes out of it or it blows up or something, that'd be a pretty good thing to capture on video. So rather than me test it out off camera, I'm going to test it out on camera. Right, I hope you can see this. It's quite hard for me to tell what the camera can see, but I've got a step-down power converter. Every time I mention I'm using a step-down power converter, you always get that guy in the comments that says, oh no, it's a step-up power converter because you're going from 110 volts up to 230, and it's a step-down power converter. It's stepping down my power to the voltage that this device accepts. But anyway, it doesn't matter, I'm not bothered. It's funny how people like to correct you all the time though. Like correct you but with the wrong information. I've never quite understood that. If I wasn't 100% sure of something, I probably wouldn't bother saying it. Well, you might say it in a conversation, but you wouldn't go out of your way to tell someone that they're doing something wrong without checking your facts. And it's just weird behaviour. I never quite understand things sometimes. Right, anyway, voltage on there. So I'm not going to turn it on just yet. going to have to guess that that goes in that way around. Right, okay, we'll put that out of the way. Okay, let's get this show on the road now. This might be a little bit difficult for you to see because I've got to bring these lights in, and hopefully it doesn't block your view too much. This is quite a difficult shoot, I should say. Trying to get two things in the shot at once. You know, like I'm filming this, but I'm kind of mindful of what you can see. I'm just wondering if I should tilt that down a little bit. Maybe it might just help out with the angle. Right. Okay, let's bring the camera in. Right, moment of truth. Let's start this film off. Right, now at the moment, it's not looking good. I kind of have a feeling that it might be fast forwarding though. I can feel the cart moving. I'm wondering if this is moving at all, so what I'm going to do is paint a dot on the tape here. Right, kind of the results I expected in a way, because it's not working, but I mean there's power going to it, which is a good sign. It's not moving the 8-track along at all, so obviously nothing's going to happen if it doesn't move. I think we're going to have to open it up and have a good look inside. Right, so at this point, I'm a little bit stuck. I'm not an electronics expert. I don't know how to repair circuits. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up the contacts on the volume. I've got some contact cleaner. You can see that the 8-track tape machine's working fine. I could just put it all back together and hope for the best. I'm thinking that maybe this capacitor up here looks a bit bulgy at one end, so maybe I should get a new one of those. It's the other one I can see that looks unusual, but of course they don't always exhibit what's going wrong with them. I could replace this big fella here, but you know, it kind of was played music, so some of this circuitry is working. It's hard to know exactly what the problem is. I think maybe even take out the chips and reseat them. That might not be a bad idea. I know that on the old Mac I'd got, it looked like the chips needed reseating because they kind of lost connection. So yeah, I'll probably just, I'll see what one of these is. It says 50 volts, 1 micro, whatever they are, UFs. Yeah. Alright, give me a minute. Okay, here's where we're up to. I've made a list of the different capacitors that are in this. There's one that I can't see. I'd have to remove to be able to see the markings on it. So I'm thinking, well, if I'm not going to be replacing the ball, maybe I should doorbell. Right, that was more parcels for future videos. But yeah, here's where we're up to. I've written down a list of the capacitors that are in here. There's one I can't see though, which means that I'll be replacing all of them but one, and that kind of makes you think that if it doesn't work, it'll be that one I haven't replaced. So I'm thinking rather than just start on that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean up the volume contact because that was crackly. I'm going to take out the chips, put some contact cleaner in, reseat them, put it all back together and just see what happens. After all I need to get this thing to do is to work for a bit, just long enough to demonstrate it. Right, we're back together again now, so let's try it once more, plug it in.
Can you guess this extra bonus word? The first clue is Republic. R-E-P-U-B-L-I-C. Second clue, Sadat. S-A-D-A-T.
Okay, brilliant news. You'll see I'm still tired. I'm sorry about this. It doesn't come across very well on the camera, but it's working. I mean, it's not changing channels, but it's working. It's accepting inputs. So I can demonstrate it. The only problem is, can you hear all that sort of crackling in the background? That's because I've got the modem in this room underneath, and it's being picked up on the electronics. I think back in 1981, they weren't expecting anyone to have a 802.11 AC modem nearby. At least they didn't sort of plan for that, which is a bit short-sighted, I think. But anyway, let me put it all back together and we'll see if we can demonstrate it a little bit better than we have been doing.
Was our man. The winner of 11 Academy Awards. This film featured an exciting...
Okay, now we've entered one of those setbacks that quite often happens when something was working and then decide it doesn't want to. At the moment it seems to be reading the tape just a bit off angle, so it's kind of getting the tape heads in the wrong place. So you can hear the data as well as the question. So it's sort of out of line, so I'm going to have to take it apart again. Okay, it's now 11:45 in the morning. I think I'll take a break, have my lunch. The device is working. I realise what's wrong with it now. I mean, I don't know whether taking the chips out and putting them back in actually did anything. I can't tell you. But anyway, it doesn't damage it, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, the head in the machine is offline. And the reason for that is the plastic surround that holds the head has got a crack in it. So the head's kind of moved in a position it shouldn't really be in. I'm going to put some epoxy resin on that. Hopefully that's going to fix that issue. And then I'll have to realign the head. But once that's done, it should probably be working properly. So looking forward to playing a couple of games on this thing. But yeah, quite a bit of work to do yet. That epoxy resin will probably take overnight to dry. So I'm wondering if I'll be able to continue with this at all today. Probably not. But anyway, well, I'll keep the camera rolling while I'm doing the epoxy stuff. Just to give you an idea as to how much I've spent on it today, and then we'll move on, and maybe I'll shoot something else in the extra time I've got this afternoon. Right, I'm back. So I bought all the essentials. Headache tablet. I still haven't really come round today, so I'll just put that over there. Another cup of coffee. An epoxy resin, which is the real reason I'm back. Right, so I've done the epoxy resin. Wait for that to set. I think I'd best wait overnight. I've tried to rush epoxy in the past and it just hasn't worked. I think with this, if I let it set, it'll go rock hard. I've covered the thing enough so that even if the device doesn't sort of glue together, the epoxy should hold it on the outside. At least that's the theory anyway. Now, I think in the meantime, I'll take this off this counter and maybe I'll shoot some stuff with the 8-track. I wanted to demonstrate what the audio was on these cartridges, how it was set out. So I'll clear this out of the way and I'll replace everything with the 8-track. I might not get it shot today, but at least I'll have it all set up. By the way, if you're wondering what the time is, we're out to, oh, every day I do that, 13:37. You know, like leet, as in leet speak. 13:37 upside down is leet. Well, it is. I don't know if you can see. 13:37. Every day I look at the clock at 13:37. It's the weirdest coincidence ever. The other one I used to look at the clock at was 3:57 every day. I always used to think like 3:57 Magnum, you know, Clint Eastwood and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I look at the clock all day long. Behind you, there's the timer. Sorry, the counter for YouTube people currently says 505,794. I don't have it flick over to the time because in the past I've had it flicking over to the time in the videos, and it kind of shows that I've shot things out of sequence. So I just wanted to stop that happening. But anyway, yeah, weird, isn't it? I'm sure there's other people out there look at the clock at a certain time every day. And I'm kind of sick of seeing us at the same time, but yeah, I'm blathering, aren't I? Really not feeling right today. I'm sort of out of sorts completely, so I'm trying to do my best by carrying on with this one. But yeah, I'm just not feeling it today. But you see, that's the thing. I do, in case you don't know, I've got type 1 diabetes and various other things going on. And some days I just feel really kind of out of whack, like no energy at all. And other days, full of beans. Well, today I'm afraid you found one of the out of whack days. It's a bad day to start shooting a behind the scenes, really. But we seem to have made some progress. I'm quite happy with the progress I've made. I'm hoping I can get this thing back together again afterwards. I've only taken a couple of components out, so it shouldn't be too hard. I've got to look after all these bits though, because I've got two very small components over there that I don't want to lose. So I think I'll put them inside a box somewhere and look after them. Anyway, yeah, sorry, I'm talking too much now, just ignore me.
Zippy a Doodah came from the movie Song of the South, #1.
Okay, it's 2:44 PM now, and I'm going to do a little bit of filming with this 8-track machine. Feeling a little bit better, I think. I've seemed to have finally come around a little bit late in the day. But what I'm going to do, I'll do some filming with this part here, just to demonstrate how the tracks are laid out as best as I can on this, on these special 8-track cartridges. Right, let's get on with it. Now you might notice the lights move around an awful lot while I'm working. I find lighting is madly important in just getting these shots right. It's one of the things that people on YouTube seem to get wrong. And there's nothing special about these lights. These are just some studio lights I bought cheap at some point. I think I bought the stands separately though. I think the microphone stands or something. I'm not too sure. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, if you're going to be filming, make sure you get yourself some lamps. It's very important. But let's have a go with this now. See if I can get this set up. Now, the other thing I'll mention is always use a tripod. Well, as much as you can, unless you're deliberately making a shot that's sort of moving around, because it just makes so much difference, especially at 4K. You really don't want anything moving at all.
Melina Mercouri was the star of Never on Sunday. Xenia Desney was an actress of silent film days.
Right, now I've recorded that for about 10-15 minutes or something, because I've learned over the years that you can never shoot too much. You always realise that afterwards that, oh, I wish I'd have held that shot a little bit longer and then I could have spoken over it, edited it, stretched it out, whatever. So now I just shoot a massive amount of footage. In fact, on this camera here, I've got a 256 gigabyte U3 card because I'm shooting in 4K. That costs quite a fair chunk of change, but it means I don't have to worry about shooting for longer periods of time. I know I'm going to have space on the card. Right, so I think I've shot enough of this part with this 8-track player. That'll literally probably be under a minute or so on screen time, but yeah, so let's pack this away. And I don't know if there's anything else I could do today. I'm thinking there's a bit I want to do in the garage, or garage, whichever way you want to say it, with where I want to explain how the layout on an 8-track is. I'm really not doing so well with my sentences today, but yeah, I want to talk about the layout of tracks on an 8-track tape. So maybe I could set some of that up. Perhaps I might be better to get a bit shot today. It's 3 o'clock now, so still got a bit of time left. Right, so I've been messing around a little bit because I realised this 8-track wasn't playing the left-hand side on track 1. Track 2, 3, 4 sounded okay. So of course that meant the head's out of alignment a little bit. Now this has got holes in the top, and I thought it's a good idea for me to just practice a little bit aligning an 8-track cartridge head, because that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow when the glue set's on the other one. So I think I've got it working now, so I'm quite happy about that. This little 8-track's working fine, so I can hear all 4 tracks now in stereo. Right, now because it's working better than it was before, I'm going to go back and reshoot the section where I'm playing this 8-track just to demonstrate what it sounds like.
Crawford, 3, Joan Fontaine, 4, none of the above.
Oh, right, now I can pack it away. I think I should have enough stuff there that I could mix up. Whew. Right, you join me in my garage, and what I'm planning on doing here is putting up a whiteboard. So I want to film a section in this video where I explain how an 8-track works, how the tracks are laid out. I thought it'd be quite interesting to do it on a dry board, dry erase board. So I'm going to put it up somewhere around about here, and I can use this for other projects as well. So that's what I'm doing right now. Right now, unfortunately, you might be able to tell I'm getting a bit sweaty, and that is because my blood sugar is 3.1 and heading down. Part of being diabetic, I'm afraid. You end up in these hypo situations. So I'm going to have to take a break for a bit before I can do any more work, otherwise I'll pass out. So yeah. Right, I'm back. I'm feeling a bit better now. While I was sitting there trying to bring my sugar levels up, I was reading through forums and things, and somebody said that I was in this week's Radio Times, or at least my channel's got a mention in Radio Times. So just popped out and got myself a magazine, and sure enough, yeah, there it is. It says that it's the best place for retro audio formats. It's probably a shame this video isn't about one, but anyway, nice thing to see. Radio Times, if you don't know, it's a magazine that's been going for about 100 years or so in the UK, and they used to just do Radio Times, as in what was on the radio. Then this added in television when television started, and then of course I think there was a law that sort of they had because they were produced by the BBC. They were the only people that could publish BBC Times, and then things changed, got deregulated and stuff. But yeah, it's still around. So yeah, I got mentioned in that magazine. Pretty excited. Anyway, let's try and get this flipping thing on the wall. Now, if I have it there, it's going to be about at this point. Is that going to be too high? Right, that's it. It's 4:30. I've got my whiteboard up on the wall. I bet you didn't think there was all this involved in making a video. And to be honest, normally I wouldn't be putting a whiteboard up, but it's something I need to use in this one. So there you go. That's today finished, I think. I've pretty much worn myself out now. So just a bit of tidying up to do. And I'll start again tomorrow morning. Hopefully that glue will have set on the little thing and I better reassemble it. And fingers crossed it's going to be working properly. Later on, if I get a minute this evening, I might start drawing out on paper what I'm going to be putting on here in the morning. I'm terrible at art, but all I have to do really is draw a tape and explain how the tracks are laid out on it. I'm just going to have to figure out the kind of design I'm going to put on there. But anyway, yeah, so that's it for today. Start again in the morning. Okay, day 2. I'm feeling a lot better today, so it's just getting up to about 10 o'clock. I've been doing emails, paying things online, all the kind of sort of admin stuff that you have to get on with. So now it's time to put this thing back together again, and hopefully today's going to be a lot more productive than yesterday. I've got a couple of things coming from Amazon today because I realised I need a couple of things for the video, so I've ordered those. But I can work around that. So anyway, let's get on with it. I think it's back together again. Let's see if it works. Okay, so seems to be okay. Track 1 is a little bit off, but track 2, 3 and 4 seem to be lined up right, so I'll just use those tracks when I'm demonstrating it. Hopefully that's going to be good enough for it to work properly. Fingers crossed. So let's put it back together. I've got to make sure that track 1 and track 1 are lined up on this knob on the top here.
April Love starred Pat Boone as a young man on a farm in Kentucky.
L.A.S.T. The clue is they would seize a trouble, but found only romance and riches. Mesa. N-E-S-A. The clue is stick. His School Days became a famous book by Thomas Hughes in 1857. Number 1, Tom Brown. 2, The Boy with the Green Hair. 3, Red Badge of Courage.
Okay, I have done all the shooting I needed for this in this location, at least I think I have. There's only so much you can show of a plastic box playing back audio. I don't think I can show too much of it in the video because a static image like this just isn't that interesting. However, I'll try to cut it with different things to try and liven it up a bit. So yeah, I played my way through the different cartridges I've got. Now there's one thing that I know is going to happen in the comments under this, and people are going to mention to me and send me links and things, and I'm preempting it because they're going to mention the 2XL robot. If you don't know what 2XL is, it was this fella that also used 8-track cartridges. And I'd imagine there'll be a few people saying, I wonder if the 2XL cartridges will work in this, or if these cartridges will work in the 2XL. And people say, have you heard of the 2XL? And they just keep going on. It's weird how you do a video about one thing, but everyone wants to talk about something else. So to try and sort of cut that off at the pass before it even happens, I picked myself up a 2XL so I could just show it briefly in the video and say, look, the two are incompatible. They both use 8 tracks, but they don't use them in the same way at all. There's no connection between them. They're different companies and everything. But the funny thing is, inside the box for this, there were two 2XL cartridges. So whoever's packed this together has kind of seen that these fit in here and thought, oh yeah, that'll be for that. But yeah, they don't do anything. You might as well just play a normal 8-track in here. It just plays the audio on it. Now 2XL, the way it works with interactivity is you've got 4 buttons on the front here which move the head to the 4 different tracks. So there's no kind of clever data stuff going on. Well, there's a bit, but not as much. But yeah, the idea is if you answer A, you press A, and then it jumps to that track and says, yes, you're correct. Or if you say B, it goes, no, that's the wrong answer. So that's how this one works. Completely different setup. But yeah, I do happen to have 2 2XL cartridges now. So I ended up picking up a 2XL robot. I haven't even tried this thing out to see if it works. I would say the chance of this working is slim to none. However, I'm going to have to buy an adapter that fits in the front of here and give it a go. But yeah, I'm just going to do a bit of a shot or two with this, with its cartridges, just so I can mention how it doesn't function. I've got the instruction booklets over there as well. I need to do some shots of those. It's getting on for 11:30, so it's time for me to have a coffee break, and I'll come back to this in a moment. Right, we've changed locations. What I'm going to do now, I know I'm backlit at the moment, I'm going to close these curtains. I'm going to be shooting the Omni in this lounge setting. It's all right and good having it on the white background, but really this is something that was designed to be played by a family in a lounge, living room, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to do a bit of a shot here. This is going to be the end of the video where I kind of wrap things up a little bit. I haven't done the beginning of the video yet. I'll probably do that in the other room. And one thing I haven't mentioned here, I don't do any scripts. I mean, you might have seen me mention this before. I don't write anything down. Occasionally I'll write myself some bullet notes thinking that these are the things I really want to mention. However, with this I haven't got a bullet note list. When I'm doing the comedy outros with the Muppet characters, those are written because I have to know which one said what in what order, and then I'll say each line about 10-15 times and then pick the best one out where the mouth sort of matched up to the words the best, just slot them together in the right order. However, the reason I'm mentioning that is because I'm in it here now, and then I'll be back upstairs. I'll be putting all this together at the end. I just shoot a lot of stuff and hope that at the end of it I've got enough to assemble when I start sitting down and thinking, well, what order do I want these things in? And it's it evolves a little bit as well because it's based on what happens as I'm doing things. If I set out with a script for this, I'd be like, right, here's the Omni, show it, the end. But as it's turned out, I've got to have repaired it. There's been a sort of overnight delay. There's been some of the tapes that don't work exactly how I want them to. There's just, it's an evolving process as it goes along. So yeah, no scripts. Anyway, what I have to do now, I've got to go and get changed because I don't want to do a bit to camera wearing this. It's a bit inappropriate. I need to bring some lights in as well and close these blinds behind me. And that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching. Now that was a bit of a miracle. It's a one-take finale. Okay, so it wasn't perfect, but I was just improvising and I didn't stumble over my words and I managed to get everything that I wanted said. So I'm quite impressed with that. Hopefully it's come through on the microphone. If it hasn't, I'm going to be absolutely gutted. Let me just go and have a look. As always, thanks for watching. Right, so that was it. I've done it. All this setup, but I did it in one shot. Whoa, right, brilliant. Now, I need to move on because I'm going to go in the garage to do another shot. I bought myself a wig. Okay, yeah, it's not what you think. What I'm doing here is I've got a scene that I wanted to look like something from the 1970s when I'm talking about 8 tracks. I don't know why, these things just come to me. So, I needed like long hair, I thought, and I'd sort of put a 70s shirt on. I was going to find a kipper tie, but I haven't got one. I used to have one years ago that I dug out for special occasions. So yeah, that's the next scene. I'm in the garage with my hippie hair on, explaining how an 8-track cartridge works. So I've got to pack all this stuff away and move it into the garage, including the camera that you're on. So let me get on with that. Well, I hope no one knocks on the door, I'll tell you that much. Oh dear. How do you people with hair cope? Because it's very itchy. I don't think I've quite got this sorted out right. Anyway, here we go. The left channel is playing track 1 and the right channel is playing track 5. Right, so that didn't quite work out as planned. It took me about an hour. I did lots of different takes of the same scene. I thought the first one was alright, then I realised I got the wrong glasses on. I wanted to wear these because they looked a bit more 1970s. And then, of course, when I started trying to reshoot the scene, it didn't come across as well. It's just the way these things work sometimes. But anyway, I've got 2 cuts, 2 edits to choose from. The second one, I accidentally left these little magnetic things on the board, which I know it's not a big deal, it just kind of upsets the image a little bit. Anyway, so I've got to pack all this up now because the next thing I've got to do the intro shot, which is upstairs. That one's always quite difficult to do. I usually spend a couple of hours sort of trying to say things in a different way, just trying to get it just right and sort of snappy, because you want a nice snappy intro, but you want to get the information across at the same time. Unlike this video, which is just a long, boring, drawn-out nonsense drivel that everyone's switched off by this point. But anyway, let me pack this up and I'll just keep talking to myself. In this video, I'm going to be showing you something a little bit unusual because I don't normally cover games. However, for this device, I'll make an exception. Right, now I've spent quite a while doing some close-up shots on the device, types of shots that I might be able to use for the thumbnail on YouTube. The thumbnails are surprisingly important. People will click on a video just based on the thumbnail. You see a lot of those ones where people are kind of doing silly faces on them and go, wow, and there's text on them. I try and keep away from that stuff if at all possible, so I'm just going to have a nice shot of the device itself. So I've taken quite a bit of time getting some good lighting, some good angles and things. So I think I've done all my photography now. I also did some shots of the game cartridges because I realised I hadn't done any shots of those. Can incorporate those in the video as well. So all that remains now is for me to take the card out of this and import it into the computer. And then tomorrow is a day of editing. Now, the editing days, you can never be too sure how long those are going to take. I'm hoping that I can sort of do half a day of editing and then half a day trying to sort of do some voiceover and things. More than likely, though, it's going to be one of these days where I start off with the best of intentions and it ends up being 3-4 o'clock before I kind of finally get it in a structure that I'm happy with. At which point I'll then have to leave it overnight because you can't really start doing anything at that time, and then start again the next day with the voiceover section. But yeah, so now what time is it now? It's 4:45 in the evening. You can tell I'm a little bit worn out. I lose my energy pretty quickly. So that's the next stage. That's 2 days done. You can tell this is going to be one of those videos where I don't manage to do a comedy outro on it because I can only do those when everything's going really quickly. On this one, obviously, we've had a few issues along the way. Anyway, yeah, so I'll best stop talking. I'm going a bit blathery again, and we'll reconvene in the morning. So get a good night's sleep. Okay, so it's day 3, and I'm about to start editing. I've got 90 gigabytes of footage here. I don't know how long that is in time, but it's quite a while. It's going to squash down to perhaps a 15-minute video or so. And editing day is one of my favourite things because it's the part where you construct the story. Before now, I've just got kind of vague ideas in my head as to the things I want to cover, but now is the part where I structure that into a narrative. I suppose it sounds a bit arty-farty, this, doesn't it? But I want to start at a certain point, end at a certain point, cover things along the way. That's basically it. So I was up till midnight last night because just as I was going to bed, about 10:30 or so, I thought I'll have a go about making that black and white footage that I shot in the garage when I had the silly wig on into looking more like something off of television. So I've got a trial period of Final Cut because I wanted to see if I could use it, and to be honest I can't. Nothing's where I want it to be. I don't really understand how to use it, and I don't have enough time to learn because I've got to get a video out each week. So I had a go with it, and I managed to figure out where the effects were for making things look like they were off television and stuff. So I've got the black and white footage, ran it through there, and then I loaded it back into it again and added a board around it, because when I did it together it didn't quite work. And I had sort of put a few things in order here. So I ended up doing a bit of editing last night. That's the footage I shot there. You can see we've got a bit of a kind of TV border. You won't be able to see this, but it looks a bit blurred as well with some scan lines on it. So anyway, that's what I was doing last night. I've got it all the way up to 5 minutes and 28 seconds now. That includes the outro. The outro I've already put at the beginning so that I don't remember to stitch it on at the end. And I've got the intro on there that I spoke to camera. So a few bits after that. So now I'm just going to keep constructing this from all these clips I've got up here. I wonder if it tells you how long they are in total. No, it doesn't, unfortunately. What if I select them all? No, not interested. Right, it's now 11:38 and I haven't got up from this spot in the last couple of hours or so. I've now got 17 minutes and 51 seconds worth of video, and we're, I'd say, about 2/3 of the way through, perhaps. It depends how much extra I put on here. But yeah, it's looking good anyway. It looks like I'm making progress. So I think it's time for me to take a break, and then I'll come back to this with a fresh head in 20 minutes or so. Right, we're back. It is 12:28, and hopefully I'll get this done in a couple of hours. At least I hope I'm going to get it done before my evening meal, because I'd like to get the editing done all at once, and then the next day I'll just concentrate on the voiceover, uploading and all that kind of stuff if I can get it out in one day. We're running out of the week though. I mean, this is Thursday. I really wanted it out Friday. I don't think that's going to happen, so it's looking now more likely it's going to be a weekend release, probably Saturday for patrons, perhaps Sunday for everyone else, or maybe Monday, but we'll see. Right, that's it. I'm absolutely shattered. However, I've got it done. I've got the whole thing edited together. It's a massive sense of achievement when this happens. It's 3:18 PM, so I think I've looked at a computer screen for long enough in one go. While I was doing this, the postman delivered another couple of boxes of things for future videos. So I think what I'll do, I'll knock this on the head here now. I'm not going to try starting doing a voiceover, because my voice sounds different at this time of the day than it does in the morning when I'll be recording the rest of it. I've got a deeper voice in the morning. I don't know if that happens to other people, but it won't match anyway. So what I'm going to do, I'll leave this here, I'll back it up, and while it's backing up I'll open those boxes that were delivered, because I'm not exactly sure what all of them are. But as you can see, I'm a little bit delirious now after spending all day doing this. I think it's best if I stay away from the computer until the morning. So yeah, that's Thursday. So we've had Tuesday shooting, Tuesday repairing things mostly, Wednesday shooting footage, Thursday editing. Fingers crossed, if I'm still alive in the morning, it's going to be Friday doing the voiceover, and that's an interesting experience. I'm not going to show you all of it because it's a kind of head in your hands moment, a lot of it. I just make it up as I go along. So sometimes I can do 15, 20, 30 seconds in one go and it sounds great. And other times I'm trying to get a 5-second bit right, and I'm saying it over and over again in sort of different ways, trying to shorten it and things to fit the video, or lengthen the video to fit the talking. Anyway, this whole thing now, 34 minutes in length. There's a few minutes of that where they're already voiced over. I'm doing the bits of camera at the beginning and the end. So, but yeah, half hour probably of talking will take me probably most of the day. But we'll find out tomorrow. I might end up getting on a bit of a run with it and being finished by mid-afternoon, but we'll see. Okay, so it's day 4. It's about 9:30 in the morning. I've done the usual morning tasks, and now it's time to record the voiceover. Now, I do this all the wrong way. I've got to say, this is not how you make a video. This is not the most efficient way to do this. The way that most people would do this would be to write a script at some point. I've I started out doing it this way, and it seemed to work. And then I tried doing some scripts, thinking, well, that might speed things up. But it actually slowed it down for me, and it sort of took away the spontaneity a little bit, because sometimes things come to me in the middle of this that I didn't think about or wouldn't have thought about if I'd done a script. Equally so, I'd imagine if I did a script, there'd be stuff that was a little bit more planned than the way these videos come out. But I think by now it's become the kind of what's expected of one of my videos. They kind of, I'm guessing, they come across a little bit different to most other people's, as their videos would come across different to mine. And so if you're wondering why it's different, it's because there's no script. Anyway, so I've got all the clips here, and what I do when I'm doing this voiceover, I'll watch a bit of it. I watch the video that I put together for about sort of a minute or so, formulating what it was that I was planning to say about that particular clip when I added it into the timeline. And then I'll go back and try and verbalise that, and it won't fit. It'll sort of go a little bit too long. So I'll try and shorten it and do it again, and I'll keep going back. And if I find that I can't sort of shorten it in a way that it makes sense anymore, I'll then have to stretch out one of the clips a little bit, perhaps add a freeze frame in or a zoom in and out, just to kind of fill out enough time for me to be able to get the words out. And it works its way along like that, and it's an incredibly slow process. So sometimes there'll be sort of 20 takes for a few seconds. Other times the first take will work perfectly and I'll be able to go straight through it. On average, a 15-minute video would take me, I'd say, 3-4 hours to do the voiceover, and a half-hour video like this, well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, there's some of it that's got sort of music playing, or questions playing, I should say, on this machine. There's a bit of intro, a bit of outro. So I'm hoping that I have the majority of it done by lunchtime, but we'll see. Anyway, better go on with it now. So otherwise we'll never get it finished. So first thing I'll do is check the voice levels. So I've got the microphone here, and what's happening is I'm looking at the preview pane up on the right here. I don't know if you can see all this from the angle you are. Yeah, you can, can't you? Yeah, so the preview pane's up there. I've got the timeline across the bottom here. I can't see my keyboard really too well. I do wear varifocals, by the way, nowadays, unfortunately, so I can sort of see that and down here. But yeah, I have to kind of get the timing just right. And then I'll start recording, and at about this point I'm going to say, well, it was introduced in 1980 at a price of £119. At the time, the other kind of, just to give you an idea of the other kind of things that are on sale in the market, I've got a page here out of the Sears catalogue, and you can see they're quite basic LED based games, but nothing quite at the price of £119.99 other than a chess set at the bottom there. And $119.99 in 1980 prices up to the current day is $377.70. So that's quite a complicated little section. So I'll see how long that takes. I could have done with taking my asthma spray, I think, but anyway, let's have a look. So I'll put it onto the microphone. Turn the volume up a little bit so we can hear the beeps. Let's just test it out, check it's all working. At the time the Omni was released, it cost $119.99. I've got a page out of the Sears catalogue here. You can also see on the right how much the additional cartridges cost, $11.99. Now, if we look at the other things that are in the catalogue at the same time, you can see the rest of the games are quite basic LED-based electronic games. There was a chess set there as well, which cost a little bit more than the Omni, but let's go back to that price again, $119.99. If we convert that from 1980 prices up to the current date, that's $377.70. See, now, just at the end there, made a little bit of a mistake. Now, I might try, just because it's right at the end, I might try and just add the word cents in and see if we can edit it together. $377.70. Right, so let's try and crop that together. And 70 cents. $77. $77 $77.70. $77.70. Okay, hardly discernible. Now let's just check it fits. Let's take a good look at it. At the time the Omni was released, it cost $119.99. I've got a page out of the Sears catalogue here. You can also see on the right how much the additional cartridges cost, $11.99. Now, if we look at the other things that are in the catalogue at the same time, you can see the rest of the games are quite basic LED-based electronic games. There was a chess set there as well, which cost a little bit more than the Omni, but let's go back to that price again, $119. Right, now the way I said that, I was mentioning the chess set, but it wasn't on screen at the time, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip those clips around. So at the time I mentioned the chess set, it's on the screen, it looks like I know what I'm doing, so let's try again. Things are in the catalogue at the same time. You can see the rest of the games are quite basic LED-based electronic games. There was a chess set there as well, which cost a little bit more than the Omni, but let's go back to that price again, $119.99. If we convert that from 1980 prices up to the current date, that's $377.70. Right, I'm just going to clip a little bit off the end there. $97.70. Right, okay. That was a remarkably painless. And 70 cents. Right, we are now 1 minute and 10 seconds into the video. That voiceover was just 35 seconds approximately, so we've got 35 seconds done. Just another half hour to do, but you get the idea. Actually, I'll tell you the time now. It's 9:45 in the morning. I started a little bit later than I thought, so I'll come back to you when I've made some progress. Hopefully, at that point I'll have finished, but we'll see. So I'll just carry on now. The Omni was released under Milton Bradley's MB Electronics label, and they had. The Omni was released under Milton Bradley's MB Electronics label. That was a trademark that was first applied for in 1978. The Omni was released under Milton Bradley's MB Electronics label. That was a trademark that... The Omni was released under Milton Bradley's MB Electronics label. That trademark was first applied for in 1978 and first used in 1979 and expired in 2000. But around about 1979-1980, Milton Bradley did introduce quite a few different electronic devices to the market. You might remember the Big Track, and then there's the Microvision, and of course Simon. But if you look under Wikipedia's list of electronic and handheld devices from Milton Bradley, they don't mention the Omni game. Now, I don't suppose it really falls into any category, but it is an Right, now I think we could use half of that because it fell apart at the end, so let's try 16. The Omni was released under Milton Bradley's MB Electronics label. That trade applied for in 1978 and first used in 1979 and expired in 2000. But around about 1979-1980, Milton Bradley did introduce quite a few different electronic devices to the market. You might remember, most people who were around at the time will remember the Big Track. People my age and a little bit younger will remember the Big Track and of course the Simon and the Microvision, which people around my age will remember the Big Track, the Simon and the Microvision. But if you look on the Wikipedia page for MB and look under their electronic devices, you'll see no mention made of the Omni. It seems like this is one of those forgotten products. So let's put that right in this video and I'll explain to you exactly what it is and how it works. Right, that was worked out in the end, so add that bit on. Just swap things around a little bit here. Get the timing to fit the speech. People around my age want the devices to the market. People around this to the market. Take the breathing off there. To the market. People around my to the market. People around my age will remember the Big Track, the Simon, and the Microvision. Big Track, the Simon, and the microvision. Track, the Simon. Right, notice how I said the Simon. Track, the Simon. People pick me up on that, so let's try and take the out of that. So I'll just split it up. Let's see how it says. Simon. No. Simon. Add Simon up there. Remember the big track, Simon. 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 And the age will remember the big track, Simon, and the microvision. But if you look. Right, okay, so we're up to the section where I'm using this pre-recorded bit here. So I've got the voiceover now up to, well, 4 minutes 47. If I include that, it's up to 6 minutes, so it's not doing badly. Now, I've realised as I'm doing this bit here, I could have really done with including a cutaway of this little chrome section, this little bit of foil at the end of an 8-track. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try shooting it now, add it in quickly, see if it looks all right. If it doesn't, I won't bother including it, but I thought I could just skip over a little bit of a mistake I'd made in this, where I sort of stuttered for a second, and I thought, well, if I cut away and then go back, I can take the stutter out. So that's what I'm doing now. So I'm cutting away from doing a bit of voiceover, just doing this for a second. It's nice to break things up as well, so I'm just going to get plenty of light on this. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to switch it off because I'm going to need to put the lamp where the camera is at the moment. Right, we're now up to 8 minutes and 4 seconds into the video. It's 11:30 in the morning, so I think I'll best take a break for a minute because my head's spinning, and I'll come back to this and hopefully we can carry on. So 8 minutes out of 34 minutes. Of course, we've got a bit of an outro on there, so it's not as bad as it seems, but I'm not halfway yet, that's for sure. So anyway, we'll come back to this one in a little bit later. I'm not making much sense at the moment, that's why I need to have a break. Okay, mini emergency. I'm coming to the end of the editing. It is 4:06 in the afternoon, and I've realised that there's a section that's a little bit too talky, and it would be a lot better if I was to demonstrate it on a whiteboard. However, I need to be entirely sure of my facts. It's to do with what is on each channel of this cartridge for Password Plus. So I'm going to just test it out on my 8-track here so I know what's on each channel, then I'm going to draw it up on the whiteboard, and then I'm going to do a little bit to camera to explain that section. So I've nearly got finished, but then this just came to me. So as I say, things develop as I move along, so let me get on with this. You can sometimes find yourself answering a little bit too early for the game, and it just has to play past the section after that. Echo, what's the time?
The time is 4:35 PM.
Oh, I always dread getting the microphone out of my pocket and then wondering whether I've switched the thing on or not, because if I've done all that and I haven't switched on, it would be a bit annoying. Right, let's put this away and then we can move on and carry on with the final part of the voiceover. Now, if you're wondering why we have to wait 10 seconds, well, I've got a chap in my garage who can explain that to you. Right, now this is a little bit complicated, so it's going to be easier for me to explain it with another low-tech chart. Okay, so that's the voiceover done. It's now 5:05 in the evening, and I say it's done. There's a few extra things I have to do now. I have to listen back to it with some headphones on, check the levels of the individual clips, and just check there's no mistakes in it at all, and just do a little bit of tidying up in various places, put the Patreon names at the end, just update them in case there's been any recent additions or deletions, and then after that I can render it out and upload it to YouTube. Okay, so I did the last minute tidy up on the editing, just changing a few sound levels and things. I've rendered the file out. It's now an 8 GB file, so the next thing I have to do is upload this to YouTube, and just out of interest, the time is 7 in the evening now on Friday, so hopefully this will be uploaded by the time I go to bed, but it's a bit touch and go. I do have a really fast broadband connection here. It's like 200 down or something. In fact, let's get the old speed test going instead. So 211, 213. Yes, so 211 megabits down. But it's the up that's the problem, because it's asynchronous, of course, and the up is about getting up to 12 megabits per second. So I've got a 12 meg up, which isn't bad at all. However, it just takes a while. So I'm going to be uploading the file in a couple of moments. I've got some art that I think I'll use as the thumbnail, and I'll combine those two things at this point, and then I'll just leave it be and see how long it takes. And then if it's finished by the time I'm going to bed, I'll do a little bit more work on it then, such as updating the description and things, and let it do its rendering to 4K overnight on YouTube, because that should take in a while, I think. And when I get up in the morning, if everything's right and it's all worked out, I'll put it out on Patreon. Right, so it's 8:10 in the morning on Saturday. So I started this one on Tuesday. It's ready to go live now. I was trying to think back to what I did on Monday, and I remember I put the bracket up for this screen here and did a few sort of things in the studio. So anyway, ready to go live. Uploading it took 3 to 4 hours or something in the end. It shouldn't have done. It started off really quick. It said it was going to take about an hour and 30 minutes, and then it just really slowed down, and it just took forever for those last 30% or whatever. And by the time it finished, it was probably about 9:30. In the meantime, I used the other computer, because when it's uploading, it's best not to mess around with it, and wrote up some text to go with it, and also created a proper thumbnail for the video. The one I'd taken a picture, it looked a little bit basic. I needed to sort of put something in the corner, so I did a bit of composite work, and yeah, we're ready now. So I'm going to set this live, but not on YouTube, on Patreon. Oh, one thing, while I was trying to take some pictures for the thumbnail, my bulb blew on the lights here, so if you're not wondering why this one looks a little bit brighter, I've had to bring the bulb in out of the garage one. Yeah, that was a bit, and it took out the whole mechanism. It sort of went bang, and I think the fuse has popped in the plug as well, so I'll have to have a look at that later. Anyway, good job it didn't happen earlier on in the shoot. Right, so I'm going to go on Patreon now, and I'll set this video live. Now, I know everyone on Patreon is a nice person, really friendly, helpful person, but I know as soon as this one starts going on YouTube, the first comments will be, "What, no Muppets?" And while I'd love to have included a comedy outro segment in this one, it's just taken too long to shoot. It's taken an entire week. I can't spare another day trying to think up and shoot an outro section for this one. So this one is going to be one of the ones without. Next time I should do something a little bit shorter, and if I finish the shoot by sort of Tuesday or something, I'll be able to do a section on Wednesday and have it all uploaded before the weekend. So sort of try and balance them between the complicated ones and the easy ones. This one didn't look like it was going to be too complicated, but in the end it kind of took a little bit more time than I expected. Anyway, okay, I'll get the Patreon live, and you'll be seeing it in a few minutes if you want, but of course it takes about half an hour to watch, or a little bit longer, so comments probably maybe start to come in around about 9 o'clock in the morning. I was planning on going out today. I wanted to shoot some stuff in Liverpool that I was going to use in a future video, and then the parcel thing rang up and said there was a parcel being delivered, so that's ruined that one. I'll have to wait in for that. But anyway, just going on a bit now. Let's get this video uploaded. So is this going to be the sign off to the video? Yeah, probably, because after all, what else is there to show you after this point? Maybe I'll add something on, but if I don't, this has been a behind the scenes of making a video. I'd say this was a reasonably typical one. It wasn't a short one. Didn't take me a couple of weeks, so this is kind of a good idea as to what goes into putting one of these videos together. Now at the end of it, I'll say it's not my favourite video because there's not really enough to look at. Quite often the thing's just sitting there and making a noise. It could do with things moving or flashing or anything. It just looks like a static image with sound coming through, but there wasn't really any other way to demonstrate it. Perhaps it's a little bit long in places. I could squeeze it down even further. But at this point, I just want to get it out. If people want to make it quicker, they'll have to scrub through it by moving the thing on the YouTube to skip to the bits that they're interested in. I think a lot of people skip around the videos anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. Anyway, that is the process of making a video, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And by the time I've got all this edited together, we're going to be a couple of weeks on maybe, and hopefully this video has some entertainment value in it. And apologies for being a bit dopey at the beginning, and maybe going on a bit too much at some points of this. It's just one of those things, you know, when you're not sort of prepared to, when you try to do two things at once and you're trying to do a bit to camera and then go back to what you're doing, it's quite awkward, very awkward in fact, and especially when I'm shooting one thing and I've got a camera shooting that thing and I'm trying to think about both things together. It probably hasn't come across particularly well, so sorry about that. Hopefully it was enjoyable anyway. Right, that's it. Thanks for watching.